Hello, my name is Lindsay Wade, and I am doing my recorded presentation over apraxia. So let's get started. What is the disorder? Apraxia is a brain-based disorder that has affects an individual's motor actions caused by damage to a brain. So these individuals may have difficulty to make certain muscle movements even when they have normal muscles. And so I came across, while researching this disorder, there are actually many types of apraxia. I was only familiar with apraxia of speech because I am currently an undergrad for communication sciences and disorders, and that's one of our disorders that we deal with speech and language pathology. So the other ones that we kind of get into is the ideal motor apraxia, and that would be for someone, they would be unable to perform motor actions asked, but can do actions without thinking about it. So a person may not be able to pick up the phone when they're asked to do so, but they could perform an action without thinking when the phone rings. So phone rings, they pick it up without thinking about it. Someone asks them to do it, it would be difficult for them to perform the muscle movements to complete the action. So our next one is contextual apraxia, and that is the lack of ability to perform multi-step actions. Now for this, I think a good example would be someone with this disorder would butter their bread before putting it in the toaster, or just unable to do different multi-step things, like brush their teeth before they put toothpaste on. Just little things like that they would be find difficult to, or maybe impossible to do. So the oral apraxia is difficult to voluntary movements that include the tongue and lips. And so a person dealing with this, for example, might be unable to lick one's lip or whistle, which I can't whistle anyways, so that's okay. Next one we have is constructional apraxia, and that is unable to draw simple configurations. A good example I could come up with for this one, it would be like a person drawing and they would find difficult to intercept shapes together when drawing. And so our next one is limb kinesis, and that one apraxia, and that is impaired voluntary movements of extremities. So if you're not familiar, extremities is a term that deals with arms and legs outside the body. And I believe a person, for example, with this disorder would have trouble waving hello to other people. They would find it very difficult or impossible because they can't control those voluntary movements. And then we have oculomotive apraxia, and that is difficulty with controlling eye movement. And that's pretty self-explanatory. And then the one that is pretty much more common and what most people are familiar with is apraxia of speech, and that would be difficulty planning coordinated motor movements for speech. So I have some clients that I have kind of looked over on in my observations, and with this disorder, they can say what they're they have a thought of what they want to say, but they are unable to use their lips and tongue and larynx to perform the action. So they'll stutter, or it takes them a long time to say what they want, but they do know what they're saying. Their motor movements just aren't there. So back to the original thing. Any types of these apraxias, you can see that the motor muscle movement that's the downfall with this disorder. And so the parts of the brain that are involved in this is apraxia in general is the posterior parietal cortex. And then we have it kind of goes more into depth. I found on the other apraxias. The ideomotor apraxia is the parietal and premotor areas of the brain. And then idental apraxia is the frontal and temporal lobe. And that was also the conceptual and idental. So those two they're together. And then we have the constructional apraxia, and it's the inferior non-dominantal parietal lobe of the brain. So you can see the different parts of the brain affects different, how this apraxia is, what parts of the bodies it's controlling. So the cause of apraxia. I found that it is caused by lesions usually found in the left hemisphere in the frontal and parietal lobes of the brain. These lesions can be caused by stroke, traumatic brain injury, or neurodegenerative diseases. So like Alzheimer's, Huntington's disease, and Parkinson's disease. So these people usually suffer from apraxia after these major events. Symptoms of apraxia. So these symptoms are commonly difficulty with skilled movement, and under this I have an inability to perform a movement or task when asked, despite having the desire and physical capacity to carry it out. So kind of what we touched on before. And then the common causes of these symptoms are having difficulty with skilled movement can have causes that aren't due to underlying disease. Examples include muscle fatigue, mental fatigue, and lack of ability. And so the treatment for apraxia is, as I mentioned earlier, speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy. Again, it is kind of based on which apraxia you're dealing with to which therapy is best going to be appropriate for that. And then how common is it? So during my research, according to the National Organizations for Rare Disorders, the data for apraxia is limited. I think the research that I found, basically the gist of it was these people are still able to function, and the research on here is not very serious. So apraxia is to be more commonly found in elders due to its association with dementia and stroke. And lastly, why did I choose this brain-based disorder? This disorder actually has a very close place in my heart. I had started working at Stillwater Kids for probably about 2 months when I first moved to Stillwater, and I had met this kid named Caleb, and he suffered from apraxia of speech, and it was just like heartbreaking to like see him know what he wanted to say, but he couldn't get it out, and the frustration he went through and how the other kids treated him. Unfortunately, he would be trying to say something and they just wouldn't have the patience to like sit there and like listen to him get it out of what he was trying to say, because he would like stutter, or like it just took him a long time to like say the words he wanted. Like a full sentence took like 2 minutes. Like it was, kids don't have patience like that, and it was sad to see that. And so once I saw that, I kind of started doing some research myself and decided that I wanted to be a speech and language pathologist. So yeah, this kid definitely touched my heart and changed my career path. So yeah, and then these are my references, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.